So you figured out how to run your business successfully. You have all the systems in place, or so you think. And now you're diving into setting up your processes. But here's the kicker. You don't actually know how to set up a process that's meant for an entire group to work within your ecosystem. And so to you, it seems like everything is going according to plan. Everything makes sense and is totally cohesive. When in reality, it's nothing but a hot mess sitting in the middle of the desert on fire, waiting for someone to rescue it. In this video, we will be diving into the 5-step process of setting up systems and processes to match that will make sure that your business can run with or without you. Because after all, you did not start your business to be in it 24/5. So grab your glass of wine and get cozy on the sofa because we're ready to dive in. Let's go. So I'm Natasha, aka The Little Bird, a certified OBM and an American mom living in the south of France. Here on this corner of the internet, I share my juiciest tips and real talk all about business operations, systems, and strategy. So we are actually in our ClickUp space. I have taken the luxury of just spelling out very clearly for you what that 5-step process looks like. And then that way you're not like, what is it? I have to wait to the very end to find out. Okay, it is very clear for you. We want to understand, first of all, who are the members of the house, who is in charge of executing on this procedure. We also want to be able to take a video, a very high level video of how it is that we work. This is going to be our step-by-step guide, really. And then from there, where a lot of people end up dropping off, they think like, oop, I recorded it, now it's done. We actually want to be able to take this recording, transcribe it, and then add to it in a written step-by-step process so that it becomes peanut butter and jelly, okay? This needs to be something that anyone in the members of the house can follow without you, without needing to bug you about what are the colors, what's the tone, what are the emojis that we use, what's the process for refund, all this other stuff. We don't need it. It's going to be in our written step-by-step process. Peanut butter and jelly time. Okay. From there, our step 4 is going to be entering all of this information into our virtual hub. And you'll see here below that I created this little mind map here just to give you an idea of what I do and do not mean. So when I say enter all your information into your virtual hub, I literally mean you're going to download your PDF or your Word doc version of your written step-by-step process with the recording attached to it and put it organizedly into your virtual hub. And I'm just going to show you what it looks like really fast. And we'll walk through it a little bit more in depth in a little bit. But essentially, you would have a folder of all your information within your business, right? You would have your passwords, how you communicate. This is where it would live, right? We're creating an SOP. We're creating a process for customer experience. How do you handle when a customer needs to be escalated? How do you handle normal responses, right? And so it would live under the SOP section right here. So this is what I mean when I say upload it into your virtual hub. It's literally if you have an SOP for Google Suite, a SOP for ClickUp, an SOP for Keep, and an SOP for communications and escalations. This is what I mean. Okay, you're going to put your SOP link right here, the date that it was created, the date that it was last updated, created by, and then any notes right here. Okay, and then it's going to be really, really simple to then keep it all organized in one space, because the last thing we need is craziness. The last thing we need is just like all out mayhem. Okay. Then from there, once you have that written step-by-step process, in between the entering the doc, we're going to enter into the transformation phase. This is then where you're going to be doing all of your testing to ensure that your step-by-step process is truly peanut butter and jelly, right? When you think about it, you are always the one doing all of your items within your business. You are basically wearing every single hat known to mankind. You are the coach. You are the HR, you are the finance, you are the engineer, you are the creative. And so if you are hiring somebody else to do this particular process, there's going to be a portion that it might not hit for them. It might not make sense the first time, yet it makes sense to you because you've done it a million times, right? So this is going to be where we refine the process. This is going to be where you start to add in automations and workflows. We don't want to complicate the process before we understand at the root level, how does this work without automation and without any fancy workflows going on? We need to make sure that it's refined so that we don't build something and then have to rebuild it again. That can get really, really pricey, and we don't want that, right? After the refinement, it's going to look like this. You're going to have, okay, one client, you're going to take a step from the written portion here, and you're going to start making workflows, and it's going to trigger this if they said yes. It's going to trigger this if they said no. It would be like, oh, they asked me for a refund. Okay, they asked me for a refund would be X. The trigger is I'm going to give them one, or the trigger Z would be I'm not going to give them one. And then it breaks out bum, 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 bum from there. Okay, so now that we have an idea of at the high level what these 5 steps are, we can now go into our demo and start plugging and playing how this works very, very quickly. Now that we are actually in our demo process board, we can quickly understand how this comes to life and how it actually is peanut butter and jelly. So you always want to make sure that you have a filing system for your SOPs because there's going to be a lot as your business continues to grow. You always want to make sure that you have your original dates listed there and all that good stuff. So where we are listing out that first portion, the who are the members of the house, I like to put that under my members assigned for clarity and to make it a little bit easier for all of us to understand. I'm going to make sure that this is in the same order that I'm doing our process, okay? So let me just do add above here. I'm actually going to take the how we work video to link, and I'm going to link it up here. And so that way it becomes very easy to follow along. Okay, so that is there. Now, don't worry about like trying to rush to copy all this stuff, because if you hover down to the notes section of this video, you will actually be able to download this template. And then that way you have it for you and your business, which is excellent. It's going to save you so much time, and you really can just take out what you don't use. So like say you don't use a certain program, you can just change that out and make it work for your business. Same thing with the with members of the house. You can change that out as needed. Okay, just making it a little prettier. Okay, so here we go. Ta-da! So it is done. Okay, enough messing about. Okay, so we have our members assigned. And I'm just going to put in parentheses, members of the house. Okay, our business is like a house. So if we think about it like that, we won't get confused. Okay. So this is our members of the house. Our department is like our kitchen. That's the admin. That's the customer service. Now we reached our recording that is in there. Okay. So I didn't touch on this in the 5-step process, but essentially when you are writing out your step-by-step, you always want to list out the purpose. What is the purpose of doing this? And when you understand the purpose, it makes it pretty clear to be like, okay, I understand why we need to have an SOP for this. Like, I get it, okay? Now we want to understand, what is the procurement needed? What do we need in order to make this pop off, okay? What are the tools we're going to be using? And here is where you can understand, okay, maybe we need to like minimize the number of touch points within our process. So all that stuff is written there. We also want to make sure that we have our rules. So in this case, we're doing a demo about our customer response, okay? So we want to make sure that we are writing out what are your rules for this? How do you normally handle it? How many times do you want your person or you responding to these different responses? Are there certain times? Perhaps you have different people on your team that are in different time zones. So that's going to be important to notate right here in the rules section. And that's going to be very custom to you, okay? Alrighty. So now we get to the fun part. the fun part, okay? This is the fun part, I promise you. Even though it seems very like, oh my word, how many pages are on here? When you start to like download it all, it's okay. So you notice on the very side right here, I have different sections. So these sections are like my high level outlined, okay? When I was dumping like, okay, how does this customer service work for this particular client? I'm starting off with my different sections. So section 1, let's click on it. Boop, we're right here. Section 1 was ClickUp login to verify ClickUp Chrome extension is activated. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why do we need to activate ClickUp Chrome extension? And I'll tell you why. There's something very, very cool within ClickUp when you download the ClickUp extension. So I believe I have it right now on my browser. Let me just double check. ClickUp. Okay, I don't have it on this browser. So we're just going to do that right now. Extension. Chrome. Because this is clutch. Like, absolutely clutch. If you are using ClickUp in any capacity, you truly want to download this bad boy because it will be an absolute game changer for you. You are able to create tasks, track your time, take screenshots, attach emails directly from any of your email providers, take web clips and save notes all within this extension. You're really going to want to use this because it's going to save you and them time when you get down to like the later portions of the process. They won't have to toggle back and forth between jumping between their email, between and all this other stuff. They can literally just be like, okay, click on my extension, boom, 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 upload it in and keep track. Okay. We went off a little bit on a tangent. That's okay. Now let's hover back. I did forget one thing. I did forget to put ClickUp. Oh, my bad. You see, even as an OBM, you always catch little bits here and there. Okay, so we have that. So as you can see right here, this is what I mean by the peanut butter and jelly. I'm literally telling them how can I get to ClickUp. They might not even know what the French toast that is. They might have typed it in and been like, what in God's name are you talking about? Okay, well, what email am I using? What's the password? You want to have that here. You want to have that ready and inside of the actual SOP. You do not want them clicking to a different portion or a different page or anything other than this document. This is like their little Bible of the process. All of it is in here. So this is literally what I just did very quickly where you saw me typing crazy. I'm explaining that up. I'm explaining that here, right? And you can see how nicely this is organized and laid out, okay? You have your pictures here, right? You're seeing the different prompts that are coming up. And then obviously if they already had it installed, we're giving them a direct line of where to go next. Now, remember before where we talked about the members of the house right here? Okay. You're going to notice that throughout this entire document, I am always referring back to, okay, my step 1, and I am naming the who, okay? I am naming them throughout. I am naming them throughout, right? This is super important. We always want to make sure that it is very known who is doing what. Even if you have it listed in your members section, doesn't matter. You still need to have it listed because if you're doing an SOP correctly, it's going to be lengthy. It's going to be meaty. And you don't want there to be a miscommunication of, well, I thought so-and-so how to do it, or I thought so-and-so how to do it, right? It needs to be very clear so that there's no confusion of who's in charge of what, right? So in this next step, it could have been, okay, maybe we're not using ClickUp, so we wouldn't even need all of this jazzy stuff. You would then say, okay, maybe I just need them to log into my Gmail. Maybe Gmail is where you're handling all of your customer service items. So with the company I'm using here, I'm calling it Peep Social. So you'll notice how I'm saying like, go to Peep Social's G Suite. And I'm telling them how to get there, okay? I'm putting the pictures inside of where Peep Social where Peep Social is kept within my ClickUp space. So if we go back to ClickUp, okay, so if we go back to ClickUp and we hover over this sidebar right here, this is the Peep Social where they're going to be hovering over to. They're going to always be hovering back to this communication client hub, right? And we want to make sure that that is linked within the SOP right here. So it might look different for you. It's going to take a little bit of trial and error to get to this point where it's like super beautiful. Like, okay, this one's really nice. And that's why I'm letting you guys like use it as your own guide, right? Where you can adapt it as you need, as you see fit. There will be certain parts that are taken out just because they're not going to be necessary for you, but you get you'll get like the bones of it so that you can understand like, okay, this is making sense. I see why we need to put our who in here. I see why we needed to understand the recording portion first, but then also the written out step by step, because you're getting to see like, okay, we're using this email right here where it says like, please use this work email, or navigate to the Peep space, or you're going to contact the project coordinator if you don't have access, right? And it's very clear where they need to get to in order to make the next steps come to life. Okay. So in most cases, most of you guys probably would skip to step 3, right? And just wanted to have these prior steps in there prior to getting to step 3. We're getting into the meats and potatoes, because if you assume, we never want to assume, if you assume that the person knows all of this stuff of how to get into the actual meat and potatoes prior to actually giving it to them, boom, here it is. This right here will be harder than you think for them to get to, okay? I've seen it happen in corporate and I've seen it happen in the online space. So just do yourself a favor, take the extra couple of minutes and be sure to write in how they get to the place and not just say, oh, click here with the password and boop, 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 voila. Okay? All right. TED Talk is over. Alrighty, so here's the meat and potatoes. We want to actually start to plan out our response framework, our query type, and how we want to assign the different people. Perhaps if it's billing and clients, perhaps you have a different person besides the client service and admin who's handling the finance, so that you would put that here. Maybe you would say finance person or finance Polly. Right? And if we put finance Polly here, we also need to put finance Polly here, okay? Whoever is mentioned inside of our process needs to always be mentioned up there, okay? All right. So you can see that we made a little bit of a tagging framework. You can change this however you see fit for you. And let me just see if I have a way of quickly showing you guys, but you can see it here how it looks in real life. Okay, but essentially you want to figure out a way that it can all be organized within your communication space. So if you're using Gmail, or if you have some kind of internal connection with your like you have tickets inside of like Kajabi or whatever else, however you choose to do it, it's really up to you. It's just a matter of making sure that there is some kind of framework established. And what's good about this is that you have this to then change as necessary, that you can then customize for yourself. Okay, let's go through all of this stuff. You can see it's really hefty and meaty. You can also see where you would have like the Loom video to move everything around. All right, let's go into section 4. Now, you can choose to communicate with your clients however you choose to communicate with your clients, okay? If you're using Facebook Messenger or IG Messenger to handle communications, then that needs to also be documented here. If you were only using Gmail, then you wouldn't have this step here. But because this client or, this demo was using Facebook Messenger, we have to then document that in our process, okay? And the same thing goes for keep, right? So maybe it would end after this section 3, right? If you're not using Facebook Messenger, if you're not using phone calls, right? They wanted to take phone calls. And that happens a lot with like in-person businesses, right? And Keep offers that option to have like really streamlined not invoice, but like voicemail. And so I like to use Keep versus like WhatsApp in particular for that. And that's just documented right here. Okay. And you'll have all of this. It's following the same framework. We're not changing anything. I'm literally just making sure that I'm copying and pasting it down here so that we know what is a tagging framework and they don't have to keep going back up to email comms to understand what that tagging framework is. Okay. We want to make sure that it's just very simple. Everything is there and that they can just follow this through always without any problem. Like you have everything that you need within the process. Now, in this particular case, the client did not want to use a lot of automations. And that happens a lot when you're not an online business, if you're like an in-person business. So this is where, for us as online businesses, where let me go back to Peep Social. Where was our whiteboard? Here we go. Beep, where are you? This will then be where you're refining that process and where the triggers and workflows will come into place. So that then you can then say, okay, this is how I'm connecting. This is how I'm connecting my SOP with Zapier. This is how I'm connecting my written step-by-step with the Busado. This is how I can take out maybe having to use Calendly and maybe use one of the features that are already inside of Kajabi. But the important thing is that we always are noting it down, and then that way we can get into our refinement. Oh, hey, thanks for watching. For more information or for more tutorials, be sure to follow @theOpsBason for more business management and system processes breakdown. Okay, until next time.